So we first need to determine how to read critical values of t from the t table. The attachment I included was this one for the t table. It shows the confidence level across the top for confidence intervals and then the degrees of freedom along the left-hand side. That first column. We talked about the degrees of freedom always one less than the sample size. That's like the number of choices we can make. We had an example in class with pens. And now we're making confidence intervals, so we're interested in the level of confidence across the top. To find specific values of t, we need to know what that confidence level is or what area we're looking for. So one common notation is what we see here with the t.025. That means that we have a critical value of t that separates 0.025 of the area. So that means that this area here is 0.025 in one tail. There are 15 degrees of freedom, so we sometimes write it in shorthand as t.025 with 15 degrees of freedom. That means we'll look here in the table. 15 degrees of freedom is down here. That means we're looking on this row. And then because of the way it was presented, we have a cutoff value, remember t.025. So we want this alpha prime value to be 0.025. That's this row of the top 0.025 here. So where that column intersects that row, we get a critical value of t of 2.131. Now we're not talking about area and tails quite yet, but we will in the next chapter, which is why I want you to at least have some exposure to this notation. What we really are interested in right now is the confidence level. So we can see that this t value corresponds to a confidence level of 0.95. So the t value was 2.131 from the table, and the confidence level that it corresponded to was 0.95, or 95% confidence level. Now let's look at an alternative example. What if we want a confidence level of 90% and our sample size is 20? Then we'll look in the t table across the top where this happens, where the confidence is 0.90 and where the degrees of freedom is 19. So what t value is here? What's the critical value for that level of confidence? Open up the table. Our level of confidence is 90, I think. Yep. And degrees of freedom are 19. Level of confidence 90, so that's this column here. And degrees of freedom of 19 is this row. So the t value we find is 1.729. If a value of t separates the middle 98%, it's approximately normal looking, but we have to use the t table. There will be 98% of the data inside here, so that can be considered a level of confidence. And there are 10 degrees of freedom. So this is an important thing to recognize. The degrees of freedom are given, so we do not subtract 1. If the sample size is given, we do subtract 1. So look where those two things intersect on the table, and you'll find the correct answer to the top hat question on finding critical values of t.